back on OpenLine. If you are just tuning in, welcome to OpenLine. This is Ask an Expert edition, Ask an Attorney, and we are talking to the expert himself from the Kennedy Law Firm, Kevin Kennedy. You've seen Kevin on TikTok, you see Kevin on television often. He's helping people all the time with his advice. If you have any of those questions that you've been wondering about, whatever legal area it falls in, maybe you're battling with the hospitals, maybe you're battling, with the insurance companies, you've got a question maybe about your estate planning, give us a call. Kevin will give you that great advice, 737-7587. Kevin, another thing that always interests me is somebody says, well, I'm a little apprehensive about going and talking to a lawyer because it could get expensive. Yes. But often you find that it's more expensive not to use.
Totally.
Yeah.
So you can look up online. Most lawyers have free initial consultations. And so do I like to go in and talk to a lawyer privately? Yeah. Lawyers are really hesitant to just open up and talk on the telephone because they'd be there all day and all night. So if it were me and I had a problem, I'd like to go in and see him. And a good understanding is this, are you going to charge for this consultation? Most say free initial consultation. And the telephone is a wonderful way to chit chat and you can get information. But it has been my experience, well, I'll just email. Many things are very sensitive and I think it's best communicated in person.
What do you think when someone has an argument or a misunderstanding, let's say with a neighbor?
All right.
Is it important to go and approach that neighbor first, or would you go in and talk to an attorney and say, here's the problem?
Yeah, if I saw that it was sensitive, there's an old saying that says, good fences make good neighbors, because it's so delicate. And once that they're aggravated, in my career, we've actually seen murder charges come out of a neighbor dispute. Who wants that? And remember, it can escalate. You and I, we're being very civil about it, but a neighbor could escalate it. And so what I always say, if there's a potential problem, let's talk privately. Talk about our options. Let's use some if there was ever one thing that was really beneficial in my career, it was coming up with creative ideas. I have a lot of lawyers right there and we're talking, great support staff, and I throw ideas out all the time. And sometimes they accept them, sometimes they reject them, sometimes they go research, said, we can't fit that in here. And so not every idea that we have is going to be a home run, but the more ideas you throw, the odds are great we're going to find a way out. You're always looking for an exit strategy if they're trying to hem you up and you're trying to avoid confrontation. Right now, the pulse of the people is really high. It's really agile. We're hearing people from the grocery store, from the parking lots, from the ball games, from the movie. We hear it, and it's really aggravation. Smart people will not get into a confrontation. If somebody draws down to fight, I always say, if there's a way away, get away. And if not, then don't throw the first punch. That would be a self-defense.
If you have a legal question, make sure you call us as soon as possible. We want to get to all the calls this evening, and we're going right back to the line. Sue is on the line with us. We're glad that you're joining us. Sue, do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
I have a question. It is about a home mortgage loan.
Okay.
And it is through USDA. It's in recapture receivable account. And the amount balance due is not due until as long as taxes. Let me turn the TV down. It's as long as taxes and insurance is maintained.
Okay.
The balance does not have to be paid until we sell the house or decide to pay the balance off. But my question is, if something happened, heaven forbid, the two people on the mortgage loan were, say, killed in an automobile accident,
yep,
would the heir be able to take possession, pay the account off, and take title to the home?
That is a really good question. What we need to go back is look at the original terms. You could get a copy of the contract and see what did it specifically call for. That is a very unique mortgage. And most people that make a mortgage, they're looking after their best interest. So I would try to get that, go to a lawyer, and let them interpret it. The other thing is you can just call that mortgage company. Under this, it doesn't necessarily mean that that is the law, but I'd like to hear what they said. And they could say, no, 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 it will only pay this. So it could be contracted away. So I want you to look hard at that, because that is a unique animal that you've shared with me.
All right, thanks so much for calling in, Sue. Let's go back to the lines right now. Deborah's on the line with us. Deborah, do you have a comment or a question?
I've got a question.
Okay, go right ahead, Deborah.
Okay, my question is, if you had a lawyer that was supposed to be handling the case
Excuse
for
me.
you,
Yep.
and you saw him on the news, he was in a messy situation. So I had the opportunity to try to find out what happened in your court case, because I Googled it, his charges, and it said that he mishandled some funds of his clients.
Okay.
So I don't even know how my case turned out, or did I get, my pay? Because we went through the courts and all of that, and I was supposed to just been waiting on a offer.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, how would I find out what happened in my court case?
Okay. So, I always tell people you've got to be interested in your case. I would try to call his office. If it is shut down, then that creates another problem. But mostly, they pass these cases off to other lawyers. And the Board of Professional Responsibility that controls the licensing of lawyers, they usually step in if there's one, and they will help a lawyer be assigned so that clients' cases do not go without the attention necessary. Because if you don't, you could get a motion to dismiss, like you say. You never knew it, and your case is over with. Does that mean you would have a case against that lawyer? Yes. And but if he's got all these charges, did he keep insurance? We don't know that or not. So the squeaky door gets the oil, but you can always call the board and try to find out what is the status of this lawyer. Try to get in touch with, many times someone else steps right back up. They call and say, well, we're handling these cases, come in. But I want to teach everyone, if you've got a case, stay on top of your case. Don't just turn it over there and let it go. And people all the time say, Kevin, how long does it take to get this over with? Some of these car wrecks can take a while, but that's why when a skilled lawyer, open communication between the two and the secretary, and if they didn't feel like we were talking plain to each other, then we need to regroup and try to get somebody else.
All right, thank you so much for calling in, Deborah. Kevin, what do you say to someone who, this happens, I think, over and over and over. They're getting billed, from the insurance company for the medical issues that they've been dealing with. They get bill after bill after bill, and you lose track of I thought I paid that. What's that for?
Yes.
What do you advise people in that situation to do?
Well, if you're involved in a car wreck, the real world, you've never seen all these bills coming in. So immediately try to put together your portfolio. Take them, don't just throw. That's an immature way to handle business. You get your receipts, you'll have to look at the invoices, and you may have to call them and check and see if the insurance has been submitted. We have it all the time. Why do I say get a lawyer? It's too complex sometimes. In any car wreck, the first thing you should do is go get a lawyer. Will it make a lot of difference for you to get it over with, and will avoid a lot of misunderstandings? The real world, most lawyers charge 1/3, and usually you always get more money with a lawyer than without a lawyer. So, and then you've got somebody that knows the procedure, they know how to do this, and then sometimes if there's a gigantic bill and it's out there, lawyers can negotiate that bill down. You say, well, Kev, I owe $250,000. Sure, I understand that. That's why you need a lawyer. Let him do the dance. We call it, what are you doing? We're dancing with the insurance adjusters. And when there's a will, there's a way. That's said a long, long time ago. So you keep your paperwork, because if you go to settle, the lawyer's going to say, these are the bills that you've given me. And if you didn't get one in there, that could create a problem.
And then, Kevin, what do you say about someone and obviously doing that, research that they need to do? When is, I know, statute of limitation?
Yeah. 1 year.
1 year.
On a personal injury in the state of Tennessee. We had a lady, and she came to see us, and it was a really horrendous case, death case. And she had waited 15 months to come in. So y'all can say 12 months is the max and 15. So I want to say this to our audience. Don't wait till the last, because some lawyers are so busy, they're not going to take the case. And if they don't, and you can't get a lawyer, you lost it because it was just too close, because there's a lot of work that has to come. And then the lawyers take on responsibility.
What about an estate planning? We get a lot of questions about this often. You talk about, having siblings and that sort of thing. So some of the siblings come in. One of them thinks that the parent is not competent to, do the will.
Yep.
And then they start arguing. What are your options?
Here's one thing. If mom and dad is any question about that, somebody can just take them to a doctor and do a little exam, and the doctor will, after the exam, say, I find Chuck Long was competent on this day. You could be competent today and become incompetent tomorrow. But if you had a lucid moment, under Tennessee law, you can write a will. And so sometimes when we have someone that there's questions among family members, my brother Bruce, he always said, Kevin, there's nothing that will change a family like the smell of money. So I have to keep that, and I want you to keep it on the back of your mind, because inside all of us, we want to be fair. We want to do the right thing. But every now and then, they call them the black sheep of the family. They'll say, oh no, we're going to take everything. And so that's why you need a lawyer to stop it.
Good to know. All right, let's go back to the lines right now. Dee Dee, joining us on the line. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
This is Dee Dee.
Yes.
Good, Dee Dee. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. My question is, can I say it now?
Yes. And Dee Dee, you might turn your television. I can hear it in the background, and sometimes that creates feedback and hard for you to hear. So if you want to hear better, just turn the TV down.
Okay. Okay, my question is, and I just want to know, what does he think about all of these Camp Lejeune?
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
All of these Camp Lejeune advertisements, and how does a person go about choosing an attorney to help them?
Yeah.
And what about the government and the claims? And do you really have to wait 2 or 3 years before that's clear?
Okay. All right, I'll hit the Camp Lejeune. I was with the National Trial Lawyers early before it broke out. One of the great things about the trial lawyers, they bring things to the head. And they say, well, why do they do that? Because they represent so many people that are in need. So once it was discovered that all these toxins went in the water, then they organized it. And now lawyers everywhere are trying to sign up cases and help. In fact, our office is signing up these cases every day. And so how do you pick the lawyer? Well, I always like to go by the reputation. What is the track record of this lawyer? How long they've been in business? Do we trust them? And you can Google the lawyers, and they're going to come up, and you'll see some of the comments. Today, we have a much more sophisticated audience. And so with that, we say, do your research. Go back and say, are they people of their word? And many times you can punch up, if they've been disbarred, it will show. If they've been suspended, it will show. And so I just say, I want to get in with a competent lawyer. It's one of the greatest gifts that's still up to the American people. The lawyer stands between you and injustice. And yet, do they get paid? Yes. And they're all working, and that's kind of what's known as the mass tort. We hear tort reform all the time. Don't let these lawyers get all this. Well, guess what? The lawyer is the last vestige of hope for people who don't have money to go hire. The government has all the lawyers. The insurance companies have all the law. The last playing field is that 1/3 where a lawyer can go in and get a third. So yeah, I would encourage you, pursue it, get signed up, sooner the better.
And we hear a lot about that. So thank you so much, Dee Dee, for bringing that to our viewers' attention. We appreciate the call. And on that, Kevin, though, and talking about statute of limitations, if someone possibly, let's just say theoretically, there was lead in the water, 3 or 4 years later after drinking it, they die. But then is the statute of limitations 1 year from the time that they die, or does it have to
Okay, well, that's very complicated. Now, remember, Chuck, if you and I are representing the government or we're going to try to cut everybody off as much as we can. We, the American people, want to say, well, this is fair. This is right. And just like the person I told earlier about the death case, well, they should have been compensated. They waited too long. So the word to the wise tonight is you're going to have to advance your claim. Guess what, Kevin Kennedy, the lawyer? I own several farms. Somebody ran through one of my fences. Oh, brother, middle of the night, my men went out there and put the fence up. Well, guess what? I was really busy and I forgot about it. Well, if you don't go make a claim against the insurance company, are they going to walk in there and write you a check? Will they, Chuck?
No.
Boy, he's a smart man. And if you don't make your claim with Camp Lejeune, and you could have the worst, you could have death, you could have all kinds of problems, a whole family, and you get nothing.
Think about that. All right, you are watching Open Line. We are talking to the attorney, asking the questions, those legal questions. If you have any, make sure you get on the line with us, 737-7587, and we'll be back right after this break to answer those questions.